Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will learn section 3 of chapter 3, combined operation of ventilator. Let's learn the working parameters of the ventilator first. The main parameters indicating the performance of the fan are air pressure H, air volume Q, fan shaft power N, efficiency, and rotation speed N. The actual flow of the fan generally refers to the volume of air passing through the inlet of the fan in the actual time, also known as the volume flow. The total pressure of the fan is the energy consumed by each cubic meter of air when the fan works on the air, and its value is the difference between the total pressure of the outlet air flow of the fan and the total pressure of the inlet air flow. When the natural wind pressure is ignored, the total pressure of the fan is used to overcome the resistance of the ventilation pipe network and the kinetic energy loss of the fan outlet. The static pressure of the fan is the wind pressure to overcome the ventilation resistance of the pipe network. There are generally three types of fan characteristic curves. Curves drawn according to flow and pressure. Curves drawn according to flow and power. And curves drawn according to flow and efficiency. Generally, curves drawn according to flow and pressure are used. Characteristics of characteristic curve of centrifugal. 1. The hump of the wind pressure curve of the centrifugal fan is not obvious, and it gradually decreases with the increase of the blade backward angle. The working section of the wind pressure curve of the centrifugal fan is smoother than that of the actual fan. 2. When the air resistance of the pipe network changes by the same amount, the air volume changes more than the actual flow fan. 3. The shaft power N of the centrifugal fan increases with the increase of Q, and the power decreases slightly only when the airflow is close to the short circuit. Centrifugal fan start mode is: when the centrifugal fan is started, the gate in the air tunnel shall be fully closed, and the gate shall be gradually opened after it reaches the normal speed. Explain. 1. Most centrifugal fans are full pressure characteristic curves. 2. When the supply air volume exceeds the required air volume, the gate is often used to aid resistance to reduce the working air volume to save electric energy. The characteristics of the characteristic curve of the actual flow fan are: 1. Generally, saddle hump exists in the wind pressure characteristic curve of actual flow fan. 2. The characteristic curve on the right of hump point D is a monotonic descending section, which is stable working section. 3. The unstable working section to the left of point D produces so-called surge or flying phenomena. 4. when the blade angle of actual flow fan is not too large. The power decreases with the increase of Q in the stable working section. Actual flow fan start mode is: the actual flow fan shall be started when the wind resistance is minimum. The gate is fully opened to reduce the starting load. Explain. Most of the static pressure characteristic curves given by actual flow fans are static pressure characteristic curves. The operating point of the fan refers to the operating parameters of the fan under a certain speed and operating wind resistance, such as flow, wind pressure, power, and efficiency. Generally, it refers to the two parameters of flow and wind pressure. Determination method of operating point. The functional expression of the wind pressure characteristic curve of the fan is H equals FQ. The functional expression of the wind resistance characteristic curve of the pipe network is H equals RQ squared, and the wind pressure H of the fan is used to overcome the resistance H, so H equals H. Therefore, the intersection of the two curves is the working point of the fan. The drawing method is: on the coordinates of the wind pressure characteristic curve of the fan, draw the wind resistance curve of the working pipe network according to the same proportion. The coordinate value of the intersection point with the wind pressure characteristic curve is the working air pressure and air volume of the fan. The vertical line of the Q-axis is made so the intersection point and intersects with the NQ and Q curves. The ordinate of the intersection point is the actual power N and efficiency. Reasonable working range or working point of ventilator. 1. From the economic point of view, the operating efficiency of the ventilator is not less than 60%. 2. From the safety point of view, the working point must be located at the right side of the hump point, which is a straight line section with a monotonous descent. 3. The actual working air pressure shall not exceed 90% of the maximum air pressure. 4. The impeller speed of the fan shall not exceed the rated speed. There are two ways to adjust the operating point of the fan: changing the wind resistance characteristic curve and changing the fan characteristic curve. Changing the wind resistance characteristic curve means that the characteristic curve of the fan is unchanged. The working wind resistance is changed, and the operating point moves along the characteristic curve of the fan. Air increase regulation. In order to increase the air supply volume of the tunnel, the following measures can be taken. 1. Reduce the total wind resistance of the tunnel. 2. When the external air leakage on the ground is large, Measures to block the external air leakage on the ground can be taken. Air reduction regulation. When the air volume of the tunnel is too large, the air radiation shall be adjusted. The method includes 1. Resistance increase regulation. 2. For extra flow fans, the methods of increasing external air leakage can be used to reduce the tunnel air volume. Changing the fan characteristic curve. The characteristic of this regulation method is that the total wind resistance of the tunnel is unchanged. The fan characteristic is changed, and the operating point moves along the wind resistance characteristic curve. 2 or more fans work on the same pipe network, which is called fan joint work. The combined operation of fans can be divided into categories: series and parallel. The series operation of fans means that the air inlet of one fan is connected to the air outlet of another fan directly or through a section of pipe for simultaneous operation. The characteristics of fan series operation are: 1. The total air volume through the pipe network is equal to the air volume of each fan. That is, Q equal Q1 equal Q2. 2. The total wind pressure is equal to the sum of the working wind pressures of the two fans. That is, H equal H1 plus H2. Parallel operation of fans means that the suction outlets of two fans are connected together directly or through a section of pipe. The characteristics of parallel operation of fans are: 1. The total wind pressure is equal to the wind pressure of each fan. That is, H equal H1 equal H2. 2. The total air volume through the pipe network is equal to the sum of the volumes of two fans. That is, Q equal Q1 plus Q2. Comparison of parallel connection and series connection of fans. 1. Parallel connection is applicable to the situation where the wind resistance of the pipe network is small, but the air volume is insufficient due to the small fan capacity. 2. Parallel operation of the fans with the same wind pressure is better. 3. When the actual flow fan operates in parallel, if the wind resistance is too large, unstable operation may occur. Therefore, when using axial flow fans to work in parallel, in addition to considering the parallel effect, stability analysis should also be carried out. Fan equipment selection shall meet the following requirements. 1. The service life of the fan shall meet the requirements of the first level of ventilation as much as possible, and the second level of ventilation shall be properly taken into account. The operating point of the fan shall be within the reasonable working range within the service life of the fan. 2. When the ventilation resistance in the annual service life of the fan changes greatly, the motor can be selected by stages. but the service life of the internal installed motor is not less than 5 years. 3. A certain margin shall be served for the ventilation capacity of the fan. At the maximum desired air volume, the blade installation angle of the extra flow fan is generally 5 degrees less than the maximum allowable value. The speed of the fan shall not be greater than 90% of the rated value. 4. Under normal conditions, the main fans do not abort combined operation. Let's summarize the knowledge points learned in this chapter. In this chapter, we learned the calculation and utilization of natural wind pressure, main fan type and structure, characteristic curve of tunnel ventilator, working condition analysis of combined operation of fans, selection of tunnel ventilator.